Hi, I'm Mrs. Brislin, and the purpose of this video is to go through the ethogram for polar bears and the data table. All right, so you would like, good for you to have a copy of this in front of you, maybe even a couple of copies. So that's the data sheet and the ethogram. All right, so an ethogram is a list of behaviors that are species specific. So in this case, we're working on polar bears. So this ethogram that we have here, which is the top section of this sheet, is actually from the San Diego Zoo. So these are behaviors that they study and look at in their captive polar bears. All right, so read through that. We have pace, rest, processing food, explore, social, play, and other. And there's very distinct behaviors there. So please take a second to read over that. You might want to stop. For the sake of time on this video, I'm going to move on. All right. So how we conduct this activity in this lab is we are going to watch for 15 minutes. We are going to watch the polar bears on the webcam at the San Diego Zoo. And we are going to log their behaviors every 30 seconds. Okay. All right. So just a couple of notes, because we are on a webcam, if the polar bear is out of view, so right now we are looking at a bear, and if the camera was to move and there was nothing there, then we would stop and wait. You're going to need your some sort of timer. So I have here my phone, and it's at 30 seconds. So I would just pause it. And actually, I would start over again when the bear came back into view to continue on with the study. So hopefully that makes sense. And then also we are focusing on one bear. This is a instantaneous focal sample. So we're just looking at one particular bear. So there are 3 bears on exhibit. There is, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce all the names, but Kaluk is the male, and he has a sister there, which is Tatkik. And then there's another female on exhibit, and it's Chinook. So just so you know. So the web cam may move to another bear, and that's quite all right. If it's moving directly to another bear, just continue on with your study. But if there's no bear in view, then just go ahead and pause your study, pause the time, and then and start it back over again when the bear is back in view. Okay, so we will consider this a focal instantaneous sample observation because we are working on webcam, and quite often the webcam only has one bear in view. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to start my timer, and I'm at 30 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and hit start. And I'd like to continue. I like to read through the behaviors, continuing over and over again, and because they are very unique and very specific. And that is what's really important about an ethogram, is that the behaviors are very detailed. So there's no confusion for the observer. Okay, so that's my timer. I'm going to go ahead and stop. I'm going to look at the bear, and when I look at rest, mostly inactive and head down or raise, so I'm going to check off the rest column, and I'm going to hit start again, and then I'll let it run through again. Now we are going to do this for 15 minutes. There are 30 observations that you're going to make. Just some things to think about while we're in between scans. Think about being a scientist out in the wild. Could this be difficult, especially in the Arctic region? It's cold. You might have wind. You may have other predators. So those are all things that can affect the observer. Let's see, we're about to be ready. Okay, and here's our alarm. And I look, and she's resting again. So I'm going to check off resting, and then I'm going to hit start and start again. So there is such a thing called observer fatigue, and so that can be a factor in with making these observations. So just something to consider when doing studying of behaviors. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop for right now, just for the sake of time, and I'm going to go right into the data sheet. So here we go. So here's the data sheet that you have in front of you. You have a copy. And every 30 seconds, again, you're going to check off a box. You'll do this right in front of you by pencil. Unless, of course, you have 2 computers and you're able to have one screen with a live webcam and the other one with the digital copy of this data sheet, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so let's say I did all 30 observations and this is what I came up with. So I have 5 for pace, I have 10 for rest, 2 for processing food, and so on and so forth. So that is a total of 30 behaviors that I have tracked. And these are the percentages of time. So how I determined the percentage, remember to do totals, just in case you haven't done a lot with spreadsheets. Totals are pretty simple. Go over here to the function key and sum it up. And we're going to go all the way to the top, and we're going to grab this whole column. I'm going to go right to here, and then I hit enter. Obviously, I don't have anything marked here, but if I did, it would total it up. So we're going to put 5 in there and just kind of override that. But I do have a formula here for my percentages. We are looking for the relative frequency, which is the percentage of their behavior throughout our study. So what I did in order to do a calculation for that, I hit an equal sign, and then I grab the cell that I'm looking for, which is the total of that behavior. And then I'm going to divide, and I do that by using a slash sign there, a backslash. And then I divide it by a total of 30 observations. And because I've already chosen the percent cell, I do not have to multiply it by 100. But if I hadn't done that, I definitely need to multiply it by 100. You can see I'm pointing at the directions right here in order to get the percentage. So I'm at 16.7%. Remember, you can move the decimal point. You can have it rounded. It's up to you and how you want to do that. Okay. So part of the activity is to create a chart. So I'm going to go up here to insert chart, and we're going to do a pie chart. So automatically brings us, I'm going to move myself over, and I'm going to choose a pie chart here, pie chart. And I'm going to move, I don't really like my pie chart being up there, but let's see, I'll click out of here. I'm going to move this pie chart down over here just to make sure I can see all the percentages, and I'm adding things up. And then you can see you're like, oh, well, where did my editing chart go? So I'm going to click on here inside of the box, and I hit those little 3 buttons there and edit chart. So now I'm back to my chart. And then I'm going to click on, it says use, I'm going to, oh, sorry, data table. I'm going to go over here, and I'm looking at what is my data range here? What am I going to use? So I'm going to use my percentages. So in order to do that, I'm going to plug in what are those cells. So my cells are C, 50, and I'm going to go all the way over to I, 50. It's all the same row, just different columns. I click on that. There we go. So here's my percentages, and they look pretty good. So let's see, I'd like to click out. I'm going to just double check and make sure I have all the percentages that I'm looking for. Looks like it's a little bit off. So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to do my edit chart, and I think it's this guy, use column C. So that can kind of mess up your data. So just double check, make sure your data, your percentages are accurate on your pie chart. So it looks like we have 3.3%, which is right here, our other 6.7, 16.7. And so for the sake of the lesson, all we want to do is put up our pie chart. You can do legends and things like that. So what I'm going to do is click on the little 3 dots here, and I'm going to copy my chart. And I'm going to go back to my lesson, which is the handout that you guys are working on here. And I'm going to go ahead and put it right in here. So that's my data sheet. Sorry about that. I'm going to go over to my pie chart. So here's a pie chart I'd done earlier, and how to create the pie chart. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to paste my chart. And it says here, link as a spreadsheet. I don't want to do that. I'm going to link it, paste it unlinked. So I want the actual chart in here. Then I click on that, and there is my pie chart. Okay. So I want to add that, and then you will be adding the link to your data sheet when you're all done. So you'll have all of your data here. You're going to just have a tally mark for each one in the column. And in order to link a chart, you go up to share. And here is get the link. So I had it. So you might be in a G Suite. You might want to keep track of that. So I'm changing it so anyone with the link can access it. And I just want them to view it. I don't want them to be able to edit. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to do copy link, and then I'm all done. Okay. I'm going to go back over to my handout, and I'm going to paste that. So this is a previous one I had before. I'm going to go in and I'm going to insert the link, and I'm going to insert that and apply it. And there it is. So now when I send this to my teacher, there's the data sheet, and also here is the pie chart. It's not a bad idea if you're in Canvas or in Google Classroom to submit these separately and make sure that it's on the assignment, so you don't want to lose credit for that. Okay, all right. And that's it for now. If you are observing and let's say the polar bears are not on exhibit, or you're really in a time crunch and you can't come back to this, I did a little search and looked up polar bear webcams, and I found this one in the Netherlands, and the cutest little thing. So they have cubs. So sometimes the webcam does focus on the cubs, and sometimes it's all of them together and mama. But there are other webcams around. Feel free to use them. But the San Diego Zoo should be a great website for you, or a great webcam. And remember, early in the morning is better. 9 a.m. Is probably the optimal time. Okay, thanks for joining me, and I hope everything goes well.